Violent clashes in Kenosha, Wisconsin, the last few nights providing a backdrop for the main theme of the third night of the Republican National Convention, a land of heroes focused on persevering through trying times.
Yet there are those who condemn our heroes, seek to erase history and deconstruct the American ideal, remake America into something it was never intended to be.
Well, let's debate these themes with tonight's Power Panel. Democratic strategist Kevin Walling, former Marine, member of the Benghazi Annex Security Team in Fowler, Colorado Police Chief Mark Geist, and Fox News contributor Deneen Borelli. Thank you all for being with us tonight.
Hello,
Shannon. Or this morning, depending on where you are. We appreciate it.
Or good morning.
Okay, I want to play something from Vice President Biden. I alluded to this with the last set of guests. He is now speaking out. This is what he is saying about the places that are sparking into riots.
As I said after George Floyd's murder, protesting brutality is a right and absolutely necessary. But burning down communities is not protest. It's needless violence. Violence that endangers lives. Violence that guts businesses and shutters businesses that serve the community. That's wrong.
Deneen, it's interesting to me that this statement comes today after there were a number of people speculating in the mainstream media and on the left last night. This is getting to be a problem for Democrats, and they need to be more forceful.
Well, they're a little late to the game here, Shannon. There is just way too much damage and destruction and loss of life that has taken place, and Democrats have been silent for months. This has been going on for months at different places. But Joe Biden, I guess he got the memo that his polls are slipping, and this is part of the reason why his polls are dropping. It is about law and order in our country, Shannon, and for these cities to be on fire with the looting and the violence and the rioting, it is just unconscionable. Americans want law and order. They want to feel safe and secure in their homes, in their neighborhoods, and Democrats have totally dropped the ball on this.
All right, Buck Sexton tweeting this today says Minneapolis, Portland, Seattle, New York City, Chicago, Atlanta, Kenosha. Democrat politicians wanted to let their base blow off some steam and play at revolution. So they betrayed cops and abandoned rule of law. They absolutely deserve to lose the election over this, and they just might. Kevin.
Yeah, Shannon, I think it's interesting to me on the third night of this Republican convention, the only message of unity was what you just showed, a message of unity from the former vice president. I'll note that both Joe Biden and Senator Kamala Harris spoke to the parents of Jacob today and released that powerful statement calling for justice and an investigation into the shooting, the 7-bullet shooting of Jacob in the back in Kenosha, Wisconsin, as well as condemning the violence that we're seeing in the streets. I think also, too, he made reference to Jacob's mother that I think, as Shannon, gave one of the most heartfelt, compelling statements just yesterday, saying that we'll investigate her son's shooting, but also calling for peace on the streets, that this is not something Jacob would want. So I don't think Joe Biden is late, to Deneen's point, to the party on this. I think he released a statement that was truly uniting on this third day of the Republican convention.
You mentioned Julia Jackson. She is Jacob Blake's mother, and she has been incredibly persuasive and heartfelt. You can only imagine what a mother is going through here, but saying he wouldn't want this, she doesn't want this, saying she's been praying for the healing of the country before this ever happened. She's been a very clear voice on this, and at a time I'm sure has been very painful for her family, but saying this doesn't help his cause, it doesn't represent the cause, and it's not going to move things forward. Mark, I want to ask you, because you've served overseas, you've seen some really tough places. What does it do to you to see this on the streets of America?
It breaks my heart. I think it breaks the heart of every veteran who out there has fought for this country, for peace and for law and order, for all of our law enforcement brothers and sisters that are serving as well on the front lines in this chaos that we are having. I mean, Kevin talks about this being a unifying speech by Joe Biden. Kevin, you're just talking the same rhetoric that Joe Biden is. There's nothing divisive. There's nothing inclusive about what he says, and it's only for the purpose of what the polls have been. The mother speaking out, she is such a brave leader, and that is honorable in what she is wishing for, because I think that's what we're all wishing for. But the thing that's being left out is everybody has jumped to this conclusion that he is innocent of any crime. I mean, they were there on a warrant for sexual assault on a child. He had previous altercations and previous fights with law enforcement. It's already been reported that he had a knife that he was holding onto and he's reaching into the car. Now you, Kevin, put yourself in that position as a police officer, and how would you react when you have that?
Mark, you don't know that, number one. You don't know that he was reaching for a knife, so let's not assign motive here in this case to this gentleman.
Let's say what we
let's
do
let
know.
the investigation play out.
Yeah,
exactly.
And what we've heard from the Wisconsin Justice Department is that he admitted to having a knife, and they found it there on the floorboard of his car. Unfortunately, we're out of time, but we will track every twist and turn of these investigations. There are multiple that have been launched. They need to be transparent, so everybody involved can be rest assured that justice has been done. So we'll watch them. Thank you all for joining us.
Hey,
thanks, Shannon.
Okay. We are tracking Hurricane